Today we are going to look at the topic of customer discovery. When many people launch their campaigns for the first time, they often try to speak to the whole wide world about their product. But the most successful projects actually target a certain group of customers. And this is where customer discovery comes in. So what is customer discovery actually? It's really about finding out who your customers are, finding out where your customers hang out, and last but not least, finding out what they really care about. So to give you an example, let's look at the examples of diapers. Now, when you look at the Huggies diapers, as you might be familiar with, you must ask yourself this question: who are my target audience? Who will be the ones who will buy, a Huggies? So in this case of Huggies, your target customers will probably be parents who have babies or young children. Then the next question comes: where do they hang out? If you do want to sell Huggies, you probably find the parents shopping at big shopping centers like Walmart, or even in Tesco. And lastly, what do the parents really care about? And you'll find out that they care a big deal that their children do not poop all over the place. So if you are designing a new diaper brand, or in this case Huggies, you will have to bear in mind the concerns of the parents and where they hang out and also who they really are. So, in customer discovery, you find out all this information and then organize them into what we call a customer persona. So, a customer persona is actually a fictional character created to represent the customer that might buy your product or service. Let me give you an example right here. This is Tony Stark, a fictional character. He's 30 years old and he's a sales executive. Now, when you're doing a customer persona, it's very important to go deep and to go detailed. So in this case, give it a fake name, like Tony Stark in this case. Well, that's actually my face. And also go down to the demographics and find out about their background. What do they do for a living? Where do they live at? What do they do on a daily basis? So in this case of Tony Stark, he lives a very fast-paced life, and he's mobile and he's busy. And he travels at least twice a month between New York and San Francisco for business purposes. And also everywhere he goes, he carries a work laptop with him and an iPhone 5. Now, when you're doing a customer persona, it's not just enough to find out about their demographics and background. You actually need to drive straight to the root of the problems that they face. So in this case of Tony Stark, we find out that he has a habit of always losing his phone. In the past year alone, he has already lost 3 to 4 items, and the most recent loss was his iPhone in a cafe in New York. He had just left it there, and someone came over and took it away. So the interesting thing about this discovery when I talked to Tony Stark is that he didn't attempt to make a police report because he was already stressed enough about his business dealings. He had a conference coming up and he didn't want to waste the time to make a police report. And so he wishes that there would be an instant way whereby he can be informed when his phone is taken, so that he can remember. Well, wouldn't it be nice if all of this could be placed into one single place for your customer personas? From what I've found, when you're doing customer personas, it can get very overwhelming at times because you have information coming every single day as you're learning new things about your customer. And so there's actually a free tool that makes customer discovery very easy. And the name of this tool is called Helpful Canvas. Let me show it to you right now. So the link for the Helpful Canvas is helpfulcanvas.com. And when you come to the Helpful Canvas website, you can sign up for the first time, but I already have an account, so let me sign for you and show you. So basically, the idea behind So Helpful Canvas is that it is a one-page plan, or a canvas as it is called, that you can create under 20 minutes. It forces you to focus on what truly matters, which is your customers. What I really like about the Helpful Canvas is that you can list down your customer personas in one central place, and you can update it as you go along. So let's just take a look at one example of a canvas that we can create. So just click on Make a New Canvas. And let's say we are creating a new pair of flying shoes, whatever that means, okay? But just for illustration, let's call it flying shoes. About your service or product, let's say shoes that make you fly. and create a canvas. Now, when you come into the helpful canvas, you'll be able to see a few big things here. Firstly, you actually look at your target persona, which I have covered with you just now. And over here, you can actually fill in the demographics of your customer. So, for example, the name, age, and college, and the job that he's working at. So let's name him Tony. Okay, Tony Stark. He's 30 years old, and he's a sales executive. Okay, once done, you can also make formatting if you want. So, for example, I want to bold Tony Stark, and click Save. And then you can look at behaviors, which are what books or blogs he reads, and what things she's already doing to solve the problem that you want to solve for your customer. So let's say he reads the newspaper, he reads Time magazine. Okay, just for example, and the part that I really like a lot also about the canvas, it forces you to think about the problems and needs that your customer face. So what are the pain points that he faced? So in the case of Tony previously, he has a habit of losing phones. So let's just put that in, habit of losing phones. Loses 3 to 4 items per year. And last but not least, what are his goals and dreams? What is your customer trying to accomplish, and what is most important? So in the case of Tony, he just wants to get his business plan, his business meetings done up. So he doesn't want to get interference from losing staff. Wants to just get about doing business without worry of losing laptops. Okay, click Save. Now, the second thing I like about this whole canvas is that now makes you think, where are the places that Tony might hang out? So online, offline, where does he hang out at? Forums, blogs, social networks, meetups. So you can fill in the stuff over here. For the interest of just example, I'm just going to put in some feeder information. Okay, and you look at the influencers that influences Tony too. So let's look at who does Tony look at as a thought leader. So maybe in this case it could be President Obama. Okay, and last but not least, the canvas makes you think about how you want to pitch your product or your campaign. In this case, your crowdfunding campaign to Tony. So maybe you can say, I sell Tony a pair of flying shoes, just for example, that will know where his phone is always. Just a fictional example. And last but not least, what things can you give to Tony? So maybe a free pair of shoelaces, maybe. And you can also put in Facebook comments if you want, but I'm not just going to leave this out for now. Okay, so you can see that the canvas makes it very easy for you to see the entire customer persona that you are looking at. Let me just give you a live example of a canvas that I did. Okay, it was for the crowdfunded kit. It was for the book that I was writing. And you can look over here. This was a fictional example of the person that I was looking at. So it was Tommy. He was between 25 to 34 years old, and all this was based upon real data that I actually researched. And he reads the crowdfunding Bible. He reads Kindle books on crowdfunding. He takes online courses like the 100K Crowdfunding launch formula. And there are free websites that he reads. So all this was based upon real research that I did. And what are his main problems and needs? So the one thing that I found doing the crowdfunded kit was that many people struggle with how and where to get started. And the second thing is that many of them don't take action even after reading up a lot on Google. So this was a very obvious problem that I noticed. And so of course the goals and dreams, they want to get knowledge, as fast as they can so that they can make the campaign work. And last but not least, the places where they hang out online. So just some examples like crowdfundingforum.com, LinkedIn groups, and key influencers. People who have done crowdfunding before are probably key influencers over these people. And last but not least, this is my helpful pitch, which is, of course, if you bought the crowdfunding kit, you will know that by now that I provide crowdfunding advice for new startup founders. So yeah, this is the helpful canvas.